Dear students, dear friends, about 1 year ago when we first met in Barcelona, I was really hoping, I was convinced actually that I could be with you on this very special occasion of your graduation from the program in San Francisco. Unfortunately, this is not the case for obvious reasons. So the pandemic is lasting longer than we all expected. But nevertheless, I wanted to be here with you mentally. I want you to know that as you graduate, I'm thinking of all of you, of the good times that we had in Barcelona, and I'm convinced that there is great times coming for you all after the program. So we started in Barcelona. We were navigating times of uncertainty, trying to understand how the virus was behaving, hoping for the vaccines to save us all, and we are advancing. The world is advancing, but we have not beaten this pandemic yet. You moved to Taipei back in January. Yaunan and all the team were waiting for you. They were greeting you. You had to stay locked for about 15 days in a hotel room. But after that, you could live an almost normal life in the island, in Taiwan. And now you have spent the last month of the program at the USF in California, in San Francisco, where unfortunately you still had to take some of the contents of the master in remote. What I wanted to share with you is some words for optimism. You may remember, and you probably have heard more than once, that we live in a world where the level of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity is probably as its highest in history. And the concept of VUCA, as you know, was invented by the US Army back in the times of the Cold War. Since that time, there are many more interconnected risks. So we have now climate change, we have still geopolitical tensions. The advances in IT have created new cybersecurity risks. We have had this pandemic, the biggest ever since the one that humanity faced in 1918. So you see, we have enough reasons for concern, and we realize that the world is interconnected. We live in a global village for the good and for the bad things. Nevertheless, I'm convinced, and I can prove that with examples for you, that humankind is prepared to face all those risks and to thrive. And I just selected 3 examples of how humanity is dealing with these challenges when we want to do so, because we have the capacity for doing that. And we have to start, obviously, with the most recent example of human ingenuity to solve the biggest problems of humanity. And the best example of that is this lady, Katalin Karikó. She is the mother of the concept of the vaccines based on messenger RNA. Thanks to her discovery and the work of hundreds of scientists after her, we have now a technology for the first time in history that is more versatile, more efficient, cheaper to produce vaccines against viral agents like COVID-19. And the next time that a global pandemic hits, we will be better prepared than ever to confront that in a record time. In the time that it took to develop that vaccine has been a world record. Normally, a pharmaceutical industry takes years to develop a vaccine, literally up to 10 or 20 years. We managed to do that in a matter of months. The outcome of that is that 1.5 years after the first cases, now we have already about half of the population of the world, close to 4 billion people, with the first dose of the vaccine. And in subdeveloped economies, about 50% of the population is already completely vaccinated. The challenge we have now is to make these vaccines available for the less developed countries, but it will happen. It has to. The second example I wanted to share with you is something that nobody talks about any longer. You may have heard or read that at the beginning of the 21st century, scientists were warning humanity that essentially we were going to die. There was a disruption in the upper layer of the atmosphere where we have a natural filter that filters out the bad cosmic radiation. This is the so-called ozone layer. Well, the ozone layer was disappearing very, very fast. The cause for that was us, humans, and our activity. So the gases that apparently were harmless that we had been using for years for our fridges, once released to the atmosphere, they were killing the ozone layer. Scientists developed alternatives for those gases in record time. Politicians put in place laws to ban the use of the bad gases that were creating the ozone hole. And the fact is that today the ozone layer is almost completely recovered. And we expect that problem to be completely solved in a matter of years. So by 2050, the ozone holes around the atmosphere will be completely closed. And again, an example that we have the knowledge to detect one global problem, the capacity to develop a technical solution, and the will when we want to implement laws and social action to tackle those problems. The third one, this is very recent, and it looks like a manual thing, but for me, it proves that, for instance, when it comes to saving endangered species in the world, we can do that if we want. The giant panda was about to be extinct from the wild just a few years ago. This year, a few months ago, China declared that giant pandas are no longer an endangered species in the wild. And what it took to come to this point was the will of one government, one society to put in place action, laws, and resources to prevent that one species disappear from the wild in our planet. So if we could do that for the giant panda, essentially we could do it for every endangered species in the world if we want to. So with these three messages for optimism, we essentially the summary is that yes, problems are there, problems are going to be there, they are going to be global, but we are at the best point in history for humanity to solve these problems. I just want to end up this session with something that for us it's sad. It's not a problem, but it's sad. This year is going to be the last year that San Francisco participates in the program, as you all know. San Francisco was one of the founding members of the MGEM adventure. So for 12 years, San Francisco, Fujian Catholic University, and IQS have been working together, creating cohorts of graduates like yourself that want to work on global issues and make this global world a better place. All good things come to an end. So unfortunately, San Francisco had to decide to step out of this program, and we are going to miss the university, the city, and the colleagues and the friends that we made along the way. I have been working with the USF for 5 years, the last 5 years. I have to say, and this is for you, Glenn, I'm going to miss you as a colleague and as a friend. So I will remember the times when you were coming to Barcelona for the initial openings, then we were moving together to Taipei, where Yaonan was receiving us with some exotic foods, and then finally when we came to San Francisco for the closing, and we were discussing what are we going to do better for the next edition of the program. Gleb, faculty and staff at the USF, I'm going to miss you deeply. So final words. Well, first, good luck to you all now MGEM graduates. When you go back to your mother countries to find a job there, or if you decide to continue studying, traveling, and working around the globe. The second is a pledge to you. The world needs you. You are young, you are talented, you have energy, and you are prepared to contribute solving the global problems that we are going to be facing in the next years. And third, I'm repeating myself, but again, thanks to the USF for this wonderful 12 years of collaboration in the program. We are going to miss you. So that's it for you. But it's not over, so we hope that we continue in touch. Now, on behalf of specifically the staff and faculty of Barcelona, we want to say you thank you first, and hopefully see you soon. Remember, you started the program in a small university up in one hill, and some of you reminded me recently that you had to walk every day between 20 and 30 minutes uphill under the sun of Barcelona to come to our classes. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure getting to know you, working with you. We wish you all the best. Stay safe. Bye-bye.